intriguing, you got to provide value in the sense of entertainment or like information, like what you guys do.
Yeah.
So if you're starting a company and it's about dogs, post a bunch of pictures about dogs and post a bunch of cute pictures of you hanging out with dogs.
Right.
If it's a paper company, do something that's related to like I would use The Office as like something to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's all about connecting it and making it something that is kind of appealing for you to scroll through the feed. It's not very complicated. It's just kind of, if you go about it the wrong, I think people just go about it the wrong way, where they think they need to just advertise. Look at my company, buy this, here's this, buy this, and it's like, that's great if someone is specifically looking for your product and they look it up online and they see that you're available.
Right.
But as far as just growing a following and having people just follow you because they want you to be in their feed, I think you've got to provide something different.
Yeah.
So don't do it the old way.
I've been watching, as you've been talking, I've been watching the comments, trying to look for some questions. We're going to take some questions for Jace here. How do you pass the? I don't know. You know what I've seen a lot of? I've seen a lot of just people saying that they love you, which is not something that I usually get.
How do you know? Why am I not getting
that? I guess that's good. That's a good point. Maybe right now for the first time.
I think it's because you wore the T-shirt.
It's coming off on me, which is really wonderful.
What steps should you take to
start a business? Well, let's go back to, because I had asked you about that, and then we veered off into social media. So for you, step one was building the right team.
I think first it's the idea, right? Yeah. So that was first, obviously. And then it's building a solid team that can actually execute that idea. And in order to do that, you have to have people that I have where they're passionate about it even before they start making a lot of money. So you can't just be like, if they're in it if they're in it just because they think one day I'm going to make $1 billion, then it's going to get too hard and they're going to quit because you're not going to make $1 billion in the first year.
Right.
And so I think that's important, or at least that was for me in my experience. And then it's getting the word out there, which is what we're doing right now.
Right.
Getting the word, especially for a company like us, we need to have awareness about it. And we first kind of established it for ourselves. We put it on my Instagram, and now we're going out to everybody else. We are meeting with influencers in New York and press in New York, and so that's our team, and we just started. So I'm learning along the way. I'm no way an expert, but that has been my experience so far.
And actually, I'll use you as an example of reaching out in a smart way. So the reason that we are here, and people keep asking where we are. We're in New York City. We're in my office with a whiteboard that I never use behind us. And because the whiteboard is on top of a couch, how am I supposed to use that? Whoever designed this office makes no sense. So you first had.
This couch here.
I did not. No, I inherited this office with this couch. And one day I will pass out on this couch.
Okay.
So here's the thing. First, your business partner reached out to me, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Actor starting a thing, but frankly, I get a fair amount of hey, interesting person launching this thing that you might not expect. I get a fair amount of those. There's an interesting thing that I often tell entrepreneurs, which is that you need to think hard about what it is that actually separates you, because sometimes the thing you think makes you special doesn't actually make you special. Okay. Like the number of people who reach out to me and they're like, I'm a mom and I'm an entrepreneur, and you're like, that's awesome, but I get so many of those that just being a mompreneur is not enough, right? So, but there's always something about you that will get somebody's attention, and you have to just think hard about what that is. And the first thing that you think of is often not the answer. So your business partner reached out to me, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but it's not really a story for us. And I wrote back and I was like, that's cool, not a story for us. And then you reached out to me yourself, which put me in a position where I was like, oh, well, now I feel like I have to at least respond to the guy now, right? It's easy to brush off the business partner, but now we've got the actual actor guy with all the social followers. I feel like I got to respond, right? And so instead of saying okay, well, now I'm interested in a story, because quite frankly, it was like, oh, I don't know. So, but I wanted to talk. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, because that'll be interesting. You sound like an interesting guy. Let's come in. We'll have a conversation. And now here we are.
Right.
And we can see where this leads to. And so sometimes.
So you're saying it's all about.
It's about
the different approach.
It's about the different approach.
Yeah.
If one approach doesn't work, you find another approach, and then also be open to just having the conversation, because sometimes things aren't going to be perfectly transactional for you, right? Everybody, people. And
that was my mentality coming in here. Was great. I'm not I just want to I'm curious about what you do, and I was trying to find things in the conversation about that genuinely interest me.
Right.
Purely because the value that I was going to get out of this in my mind was having an interesting conversation and learning a little bit about like the behind the scenes of entrepreneurship.
Right.
That's what I got.
And that's which is great. And I often. So I was just having a conversation. We were talking earlier before we started about Tim Ferriss.
Yep.
So the last time I was talking to Tim Ferriss, he was telling me about the number of people who reach out to him in a completely transactional manner, right? Like, will you do this for me, or will you do that? And the answer, of course, is that if you come out of the blue, it's really hard to get somebody to do something transactionally with you. But it turns out to not actually be as hard to build a relationship. Building a relationship is really the key, because then there's no stakes, right? You can just meet someone on their own time. You can start
For example,
engaging.
Gary.
Yeah.
I've known him relationship-wise, literally just like...
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
I've known him for 2 years, relationship-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't asked for one thing from him.
Perfect.
For 2 years, and then the one time that like I need advice, he fucking calls me in his busy day. You know what I mean? And then like
That's right.
the one time that I want to meet with him for an hour, he will do that. You know, so it's like, and I had no intention of doing that like three years ago. I didn't even know I was going to start a company 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I just saw something. A part of me was like, I think I should reach out to this guy, and I'm a fan. And I used my following to get it.
Right. I think that's really, really great. Like what you just heard there, really, really important.
And it works.
Right. It works because if you had approached Gary 2 years ago and you're like, hey Gary, I need you to do something for me, he wouldn't have done it. But now, because you built a relationship, and because you were willing to do something without like an ROI, like there was no knowledge of how there was going to be a return on investment of your time. Now he's willing to invest his time in you.
But the thing is like the funny thing is that there is.
Yeah.
When you just go about it this way. Like, you shouldn't go about it like, this is me, I'm going to make this transaction. You should just know, like, okay, like, let me just talk to this guy. He sounds interesting, and then you never know.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know. Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
You know?
Right. There are unknown unknowns. The old Donald Rumsfeld thing. Should we let's take a let's take a question
from both. What time is it there?
I don't know. We're on the clock.
2, something like that.
Yeah. Do you think everyone can be successful? Says Lila Angela.
No.
That would be the Gary Vaynerchuk answer.
Well, I mean, that is the answer, right?
Yeah.
You think anyone can be? I think. Okay, that's a weird question. Do I think anyone can be successful?
In their own way.
If they want to really bad,
define success.
I bet they can. But I don't think that anybody can just be successful if they just kind of are like, oh yeah, I want to be successful. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I think you need to figure out what you're good at.
So you can if you actually want to on a very deep level, and not just on a, oh, that sounds fun. Yeah. To like have a Ferrari. Like, let me just be successful. It's more of a different thing.
And you also have to define success. But also, I am never going to be a successful basketball player. It's never going to happen. But I had to find something that I was good at. And
that's doing live streams on Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so far it's worked out for me. It's amazing.
A t-shirt.
I know. I draw a full salary just doing this.
It's
Can you
awesome.
believe it? It's amazing.
We got 300 people.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can't ask for more. Let's see.
That's wealth, not success. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
You ever fallen off or lost momentum? So how do you get? That's a
great question. That's a great question. Here, I'm going to give a shout out to the person who asked that question.
Do we want to?
Too Tall asked that question.
Yeah. He'll play basketball. Do we want to answer that question?
Yes.
Do you want to as well, or?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. But I'm going to throw it to you first.
I'll go first. For me, which is interesting, it wasn't necessarily a kind of outside force of block. It was a mental block. Mm-hmm. So I got hit with some personal shit. So my career was going great, right? My career was just taking off.
Yeah.
But with that said, that doesn't matter if your personal stuff doesn't matter, right? So it was more like I had to, in order to continue being successful career-wise, I had to get over a lot of like mental and like family hurdles, which was kind of like, for me, it was like kind of growing up in this kind of environment, and stuff like that. And so that's what I would say.
Okay, that's great. For me, I had dreams of being a big journalist, and so, but I started at this tiny little newspaper in Massachusetts, and I hated it, and it made me feel sad and small, and after a year. I took a really hard look at why I was doing what I was doing, and also what my goals and ambitions were, and how to get there. And I started to look at things strategically outside of the normal path, because I think that a lot of people, they stay on this very specific path, thinking that that's the only way forward. And I think more often than not, the people who get where they really want to go, they take a different path.
And that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about, where it's just like, why don't you just meet that person because you never know?
Yeah.
Without there being an agenda.
Right.
Because you don't know what your path is.
Right. Just throw yourself out there. Just jump
if
off.
If it feels right, do it.
Jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
As Reid Hoffman says, you jump off the cliff and assemble the airplane on the way down. So
That's
for me,
that's kind of like what starting a company is like.
That's actually the line. Is that's what he's.
That's how we feel every day.
So for me, what that meant was that I quit. I quit my first job, and I decided, you know what? The people who work at the places that I want to work, like I'm like at this little tiny newspaper in Massachusetts. The people who work at like the New York Times, wherever it was that I aspired to work at the time, they're not reading my little newspaper. They don't care. They're not seeing that. So I need to go to them. So I sat in my bedroom for 9 months next to a graveyard looking out upon my career.
It's depressing.
I know, it was terrible. But you know what? Rent was $250 a month, so that was great. And I just pitched. I just pitched like crazy until the Washington Post accepted a story of mine. And that's what really gave me the momentum to keep going. Because I said, they're not coming to me. I got to go to them. And that made the difference.
And what was the execution like that? What did that look like?
It looked like sitting in my bedroom for 9 months emailing editors who ignored me.
Wow.
Until somebody finally responded.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Just every day?
Yeah, every day.
Every day, just emails.
Yeah, well, I'd come up with stories.
See, that's kind of what differentiates people. That's what I mean by, like, can anyone be successful? It's like, yes, if you are willing to sit in your room for how long?
Yeah, 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah,
and email every single day.
Yeah.
So, like, most people aren't going to be willing to do that, so that's why I would say
that's right.
Not anyone can be successful.
And then you're out hustling everyone, because most people are not going to be willing to do that. Here's another question, because I really like this one, from whatever Grace. What's an unusual great resource you'd recommend for an entrepreneur? What do you got? Which doesn't have to be like a book.
I would say
what has taught you?
I would say someone who's also done it, who you can relate to on a real level.
Mm-hmm.
So then the advices that they give you it can actually help you.
Yeah.
So it's like looking to someone that has had success, not just that they're successful, but also that you feel like your minds work similar.
Mm-hmm.
So then the advice that you get, or can listen if they can distribute it, whatever, then it's real. That was what I would say. The number one tools, and also resources like, kind of like being super driven, and like that's just like what everyone says, but it really is like, it really is the number one thing, because it just is.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
What about you?
Well, my answer is also people related. I realize I'm in a position where people are emailing me a lot, so I know not everybody has that. But one of my greatest resources is literally surprises in the inbox, which is similar to what we're doing here. But I turn down most meetings because I don't have the time. But occasionally I'll just be like, you know what, this one might have something,
right? And
I'll just take a meeting. I'll take a meeting with a random person who has like a cookie company, or just some random investor, or a mompreneur.
What's it called?
It's a word that people use in entrepreneurism, but I always forget how to pronounce it. Mompreneur. Anyway, and sometimes they tell me something super, super interesting, and it's like, and then that takes me over here, which takes me over here, which takes me over here, and it's like, it's almost, you don't know where the path is going to go, but as long as you start walking, you'll get somewhere interesting.
That's interesting. My dad always used to tell me, like, and he was kind of like an entrepreneur, not like on a big scale, but on a small scale, small business. He always said that, like, there's A to B, and like the fastest place to get there is straight line.
Yeah.
But what you actually have to do is, what the real thing is this,
that's right.
then a circle back.
That's right.
Then a forward. And
you have to be completely okay, like moving all the way around.
Yeah.
Because that's the path. The path is not straight.
If it is, then you got something to worry about.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's. You want to take one more question?
Let's do one more question. Taylor, shut the F up.
That's not a question. That's not nice.
How does one person start a business with no investors and not much money? Basically, you become your own investors, and you're not. So investors give you money, so then you can hire people who work for you, so then you can create value or whatever. So it's basically don't sleep. And also, I think that there's a. I also feel like.
Can I just correct? Sleep.
No.
Do
sleep.
A
okay,
bit.
But it's
at 17 you cannot sleep. If you get older.
Dude, I sleep so much, dude. I'm the worst. It's really having great. It's having like someone like Michael who's willing to grind, and
Michael's his business partner.
Michael's my business partner. It's about delegating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Delegating your priorities. That's like a big thing for me. Like you have to like, if you give something up and you trust someone to do it, then you have that energy to do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd also just add, just start small. Just start with a little something. Start with a little idea, start running it by people, get it out there in the world, and start growing from there. You do not have to birth. Nobody births a 40-year-old person. You birth a little baby, right?
One success at a time.
Yeah, one success at a time. That's another way. That's another nice way to say it. All right, should we wrap this baby up here?
Oh, there's one more. Stranger
All right,
Things.
you
Do
wanna
you like
take-
Stranger Things?
I love Stranger
I
Things.
love Stranger Things too.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I don't
you
think
seen
we
the new
have
season-
much to
season
say
two?
about it. Oh, yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Did you watch it all in like one weekend, like I did?
No, because I got a toddler, so I don't have time for that.
I don't have a toddler.
That's good.
Yet.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Follow
Yeah,
on
here.
my account. Follow what's his name?
Follow me. Here it is, right here.
Right there.
Follow me. You'll get all sorts of entrepreneurial goodness.
All right.
Yeah.
If you're
And,
interested in entrepreneuring and starting your own company,
Yeah.
he's the guy to go to.
The
He's got great
And-
advice.
yeah, and let me also just show you while we're here. See, now it's backwards. Now it's disorienting because my shirt's forward.
He
but
did this.
backwards.
This is him.
This is it. This is me. That's not me. That's Barbara Corcoran. But
I know.
this is a great magazine. It's on stands now. This is the January-February issue of Entrepreneur Magazine, and I would advise that you check it out because it's fantastic. Jace, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
See y'all.
You should get an autographed copy of Thought Leader.
Let's see how do we end this.
I noticed that every intellectual likes Stranger Things.
No, it's.